everybody, and welcome to Cat Chat. My name is David Lee Stanton, and I'm so glad you joined us today. Now, normally we have the very beautiful model-looking lady herself, Carol Baskin, joining us, but I don't know, she's on vacation or something. No, from what I understand, she's out fighting, I don't know, doing something for legislation. It's always about big cats. She's always doing something to save big cats. However, today we do have a guest for you, and her name is Bobbi, and she runs another sanctuary. So we're going to talk all about that with her. And I believe the sanctuary is called Lions, Tigers, and Bears?
Yes, it's Lions, Tigers, and Bears in Alpine, California.
Oh, Alpine, okay. So Bobbi, what's your last name?
It's Brink.
Brinks. Oh, that's a great name. I know they have a security company called that. Brinks.
Yeah. Kind of on the brink of disaster.
Oh, Brinks. Okay, so Bobbi owns this sanctuary out there in California. Now, obviously, lions, tigers, and bears is what she has there. Now, first of all, when did you? That's the name of your sanctuary. When did you start a sanctuary?
I started in 2002.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of. I guess that's 11 years. Well,
Yep.
That's a while. And what made you start a sanctuary in the first place?
You know, in 1990, I lived in Texas, and I was opening a restaurant, and I'm from San Diego here originally, and we don't see the exotic animal trade like you see it in Texas. And when I was opening my restaurant, I kept seeing ads, lions, tigers, leopards for sale. And I went and checked it out, and of course I was hooked on the animals, and I started volunteering, and then I just slowly started seeing all the bad, and I wanted to get involved and help the animals.
Oh, well, it's not, it's so funny because people obviously get into sanctuaries, do it for the love of the animals. Now, we'll kind of get into this later, but I'm sure you do rescues, right?
Right. Strictly all we do. We rescue, provide a lifetime home, and we're an education center.
Oh, okay. So obviously you disagree with breeding.
Absolutely, unless it's part of the SSP plan, which can only be done by the AZA zoos in our country.
You know what? Like, the universe needs to put a halt on all breeding across all boards. Animals, humans, everything. Just stop breeding for a while. Slow down. Seriously. Well, anyways, as everybody knows, we keep telling you so much on this show and everywhere else is you don't want to breed exotic animals, especially tigers, bears, lions, monkeys, ape. Just some. You don't want to do that because if you're breeding them, that means they're 99.9% going to be in captivity if they're bred. They're usually bred for that very reason. And 99.9% of them don't have a good life. And it's sad that they all have to go through this terrible bad life of like 10, 15 years before they're finally rescued to go to a sanctuary. That's if they're lucky. There's so many that aren't that lucky. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Bobbi?
Oh, I agree. There's thousands of animals right now in need. And, you know, a lot of people, they go to our zoos. They go to our great zoos, and they think all the exotic animals, this is how they live. And it's so not the truth. There's thousands of animals being bred right now today in our country, and thousands of them that need homes.
Mm-hmm. You know, folks, I used to think zoos were okay. And even like the good, what we call good zoos, you know what I mean? There is no good zoo in all of the world, okay? When you're putting an animal out there, here's what a zoo is not a sanctuary, folks. There's a difference. It's like night and day difference. A zoo exhibits animals. They trade in animals. They breed animals. They exploit animals. That's their job. That's what a zoo does. They exploit animals. It all comes down to the money with every zoo. There's no way. It's a business. So it has to come down to the money. So, I mean, if you ever notice, like, watch your local zoo. Animals are rotated out. And the reason why they're rotated out is because they're traded. They die early death. They hide them because, you know, abuse and neglect eventually gets to an animal. That's why you'll see all of a sudden your zoo doesn't have that elephant that used to be there last month. you know, because so it's just really tragic. So I would recommend to you, I mean, you know, I want to say don't support zoos because they really support this kind of activity. You know, but then you think, well, if you don't support zoos, how are the animals are going to eat? I don't know. But the thing is, we need to get rid of zoos altogether. And public showing of any kind of exotic animals, especially in malls. You all know how we feel about that tiger petting at malls. It's like one of the worst things. If 10 cubs go out to get pet at the malls, 3 will come back. Okay? This is my own opinion, and this is my own opinion of things that I have observed in my own life, okay? But 10 go out, say 10 go out, only 3 will come back alive, and of those 3, 2 of them will die. And then like 1 will live to the next year, if you're lucky. So that's really how bad it is.
And then if you're lucky, that animal will get a home. Exactly,
right. And the thing is, tigers are only valuable, they're valuable 2 ways. They're valuable when they're a cub, because people can make money off of exhibiting them under the guise of, is that the word? The guise of animal conservation, education. That's such a lie. It's such a lie. It's like spam or something. It's like such a lie. Okay, and then another way.
David, let me tell you something. I always tell my donors and my members to know your sanctuary, know your animal. Only support accredited sanctuaries, accredited by GFAS, Global Federal Association of Sanctuary. And before you give money to that sanctuary, know your animal. Know when your animal came in, what it eats, its vet care, and when it dies, most important, when it dies. And keep track of that animal, because so many of these places that call themselves a sanctuary, animals are coming in and going out. And if you see lots and lots of babies at a sanctuary, you know there's a problem. If you see lots and lots of babies at a zoo, you know the other animals are going out the back door.
Exactly. It's like a conveyor belt of animals.
Yeah.
It's shocking. Well, and another way that they make money off of animals is a dead tiger via them killing it. Okay, because they sell tiger parts.
Exactly.
You know, like they grind up their bones, their skin, they sell their teeth, their whiskers. They sell all parts of a tiger. So, like a live tiger, I think is only worth like, what is it, $100 or $200 or something like that?
Depends on where you get it. Some of them have no value at all.
That's what I mean. They'll usually give you a tiger. Unfortunately, people sell these things on Craigslist. Okay, so
once they're done using them for the photo ops, they're completely disposable to them.
Right. So then what they'll do is sell. They do things like, they're like, well, I can't seem to sell it anywhere. So you know what they do? They search the internet, then they find people who do what they call canned hunts. Do you know what a canned hunt is? That means they basically put a tiger. Well, sometimes they just leave it in the cage and just go shoot it. Or else they'll put it in like a fenced-in area, and these people with big, super retarded egos, I'm sorry, retarded, not retarded, retarded egos, go and pretend to hunt these tigers, and then they kill them that way. Or else they just go and just chop its head off or something while it's alive, and then they chop it up and sell its parts. It's tragic. If you even knew this stuff that I've seen, it would shock you.
And that's the problem. Most of the public doesn't know this is even going on.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you know, like they'll skin like all those like cheetah coats, cheetah pelts, or lion, tiger. Do you know what? Sometimes they skin those animals while they're alive. Honey, they ain't gonna spend no money in painkillers or putting the animal to sleep first. No, they don't do that. They grab the animal and skin it while it's alive, and then it still stays alive a little while after. Honey, you see something like that, you'll be like me, crazy about that kind of stuff. I mean, I wish I had the money and whatever to take it a step further. I would start a sanctuary, because that's how passionate I am. So, Bobbi,
the biggest need for the sanctuaries right now is funds to build habitats, and like I said, to support the accredited ones. And, we try the best we can to place these animals that are in need of homes before they end up getting sent to the canned hunt ranches and before they, get rid of them.
Right. Now, we've been showing some pictures here, and so I want to point out to people the difference in some of the pictures. The pictures that you see that there's kind of like a lot of land space and like kind of happier animals. I'm going to be honest with you. Those are the pictures from Bobbi's sanctuary. Now, what we're looking at right here, those silos, that is not Bobbi's sanctuary. That is a place where she rescued a bear. I believe there's 2 bears. Was that? Maybe that's one bear that's living in both things, I guess.
Nope, we've rescued 2 bears here. Both of them lived over 5 years in they call them corn cribs, and they're less than 10 foot in diameter. So like the one bear, her name is Maddie, that I just brought back from Ohio. She lived in that corn crib for 10 years, and the owner told me herself she was never once able to clean the cage because she was afraid she'd get out and afraid to go in. So of course, when we pick her up, she's low. Into a quarantine situation before we can even let her out into the open habitats.
Right. Well, how's she doing now?
She's doing great. She loves water. So she spends her days playing in the water, and if she sees you touch the hose, she stands up so you can hose her off, and she's doing great. We're just waiting, to get some negative samples so we can put her out with the other bears. And then Sugar Bear, he came from a corn crib. He lived in a corn crib almost 6 years. And he'd never seen another bear, and he had a really hard time adjusting to space. So he's now in a 4-acre habitat, but no exaggeration, it took him 2 weeks to even put his foot out the door and touch dirt, because he'd never touched dirt in his life, a bear that's never touched dirt.
That is so tragic. What's remarkable, look, I'm going to cry. I can't handle it. I hate freaking abuse to animals. But, wait a minute. See, that'll make me lose my train of thought there. But this is what's remarkable to me, that an animal can stay in that kind of atmosphere for 10 or 12 years and then even recover at all from it.
I'm always amazed at how sturdy these animals are. Like even our 2 tigers, they spent 5 to 6 years in a 6x12. Like I know, a tiger's 6 foot long. One of them had to stand up in order for one of them to lay down for 6 years. No shade, no shelter. And they're still, they're 17 and 18 now at my place. They've been here that long. But they're fine. And they lived through that. You and I couldn't live through that.
I know. We couldn't not even a whole year. Well, I don't know. Those people in Cleveland, I'm sure you heard about them. They were captive for 10 years. Do you know that story?
Yep. Now they're going to have a lot of, therapy and recovery to do.
Right. And they get therapy and recovery. How do you give a bear therapy?
Lots of time and love and patience and lots of talking to them, lots of hand feeding them, just time and TLC, lots of TLC.
Your sanctuary is a little bit special to me because, a lot of seems like sanctuaries, they specialize in stuff. Now, I used to be in Oklahoma, and I was staying at an animal park that they had a whole bunch of different type of animals. Not, similar, probably less types of animals. You probably have less type of animals than they do. But, they still had a variety of animals. And I've always wanted to see a sanctuary that would have a variety of animals opposed to just, one certain type. So right. It's really refreshing that you have a sanctuary that is for several types of animals. And now, you all know Carol Baskin is you can't mess with her, okay? Because if you have a bad sanctuary or even kind of remotely bad, one thing Carol Baskin is not going to do is endorse you or recommend you for a show or anything like that, honey. You have to be top notch for I'm serious, for Carol. That's like having the president or something, endorse you. So if you have Carol Baskin behind you, you're doing something right. And I can tell from those pictures that it looks like you are doing something right. Your animals seem to have large areas to move in. They don't seem to have that sad posture, because you can tell how an animal feels just by the way it's standing.
Right.
You know, a tiger that's sad will slouch. A tiger that's not sad won't slouch.
Well, we have 55 rescued animals right now, 17 different species, and we've just strived to give quality of care. So each animal gets individual care. Every diet is weighed, and, you know, all the food we take back out is weighed, and, you know, just that individual TLC and that individual care makes a huge, huge difference.
Right. And now in this situations, like bears that have to go through that. So since those bears can never return to the wild.
Nope, they walk right up to a person.
Right. So therefore, it's probably important that you do give them attention, right? Because since they can't ever be returned to the wild, if you don't give them attention, they're going to live a lonely life, right?
Right, and then we give them a choice. So, you know, they're out in the open habitat, so if they want to come down, they can. If they don't, they don't. You know, they do come down to eat, and that's how we get a good look at them health-wise every day. But other than that, they're on their own. Each bear here has their own bedroom, and it's actually we call it a safety bedroom, and they can come in and out of it as they please. So it's kind of like having your house. You can either go out in the park or you can hang out in your bedroom. They have a choice every day.
Well, Bobbi, now, when's the last time you went on a rescue?
Actually, I just finished a rescue. I just came home about 2 weeks ago. We drove 9,000 miles. We crossed 18 states, and we rescued 9 bears. And one of them, Maddie, came back here, and the other 8 we took to reputable sanctuaries. And we did, each bear was in similar conditions to Maddie, terrible conditions, and we did medical. So some of these bears, it was the very first time they've ever had a physical, had their teeth checked, had their blood drawn, had stool samples. We do a complete physical to every animal that we rescue before we even load them in the trailer. And then we, you know, once they get in the trailer, it's kind of like relaxation after that. They just get fed and sleep and get to their new home. And so we took them to their new home. And now I've got about 11 bears on my list in Ohio and in the Carolinas that I'm trying to find homes so we can do the same thing, and about 6 tigers. So we're constantly looking, you know, to help more animals.
I've noticed that, like, on some of your pictures that I was looking at and stuff, that is it just me, or did I just happen to land on a set of them? Like, is there, like, a large amount of bears in Ohio?
Oh, Ohio is just a mess right now, and there's just a lot of animals. So from what I understand from working with the state and the USDA, they believe that there's 1,000 bears as pets, over 2,000 tigers, and 1 million venomous snakes. They don't have a primate and alligator count.
Are you saying is that in Ohio?
In one state, if you can believe that.
God.
That's how desperately these animals need our help.
And how many tigers did you say?
2,000.
2,000 tigers. That's more than the bears. 2,000 tigers in Ohio.
In Ohio.
In private
Now that's a
ownership.
guesstimate because nobody really has a true answer to the questions. But, you know, from working with the USDA officer that I work with and the state and a couple other people in the state of Ohio, that's just a guesstimate. So the good thing about Ohio is we did get a state law. When I say we, a whole bunch of animal organizations, including Carol Baskin and GFAS and HSUS, got a state law through last year in the state of Ohio that will stop private ownership. So these people will either be grandfathered in if they can meet the standards to keep their animals, and they won't be allowed to breed anymore, and they won't be allowed to acquire any more animals after January 1st, 2014. So that's a good thing.
Thank God. Oh, Lord.
Because if not, it's just going to get more and more out of hand and more animals. I mean, to the point where, you know, the Mount Hope auction, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's in Ohio, and they just randomly run exotic animals through there where you could just go buy a leopard or a bobcat or a bear. Matter of fact, one of the bears I just picked up in the last rescue, he weighed 680 pounds, and the guy had him in a little cage, and he had it tied with rope. And the bear would literally chew out, and thank goodness it was a friendly bear because it would go hug the back. So he finally relinquished the bear. He's now at a sanctuary in Colorado. Could you imagine? You look over and your neighbor's bear's coming over to give you a hug? And this happened like 6 times the bear escaped.
Oh, my God.
And then another bear within the same rescue that I picked up also had escaped. You know, once all over the news, it walked down the railroad tracks, and the guy was lucky enough to get it back into the pen. But come to find out, it's escaped. You know, quite a few, these animals have escaped quite a few times.
Oh my gosh. Well, now out of the rescues that you deal with and all this stuff, how do you deal with, like, I call it, how do you deal with the tears? Because on the rescues I've been on, every single one of them makes me cry.
Oh yeah, that's hard.
So how do you still cry, or do you have a method of helping yourself, or, you know, for somebody else that is looking for a way of?
Well, with a lot of these people that own the animals, you know, believe it or not, they truly, I don't know how, but in their heart, they believe that their animals are well cared for. It's like a hoarding or a denial. So I'm finding if I can, you know, make friends with them, which is very hard, and just go in and talk. It takes a long time. It could take 6 months to a year. You know, talk these people into doing the right thing for the animal. And they'll usually come around, and then that gives you time to get that animal a proper home. But, you know, a lot of times when you are living with the animals, they get angry. They need someplace to vent their anger, and they will vent it on you. And you just got to be patient and try to get, you know, just try to work through that. You know, for myself, of course, yeah, this is very heartbreaking. And, you know, no matter how many animals that you have, if something happens or one dies, it's still hard. I pretty much have learned to cry in the shower by myself.
See, you're a lot
nicer.
Because you
got to stay strong. To do this, you have to stay strong.
You're a lot nicer than me. I'm SWAT team style. I'm like, honey, if you're abusing your animals, I'd like send a big old SWAT team in there, rescue the animals, put you in jail, be mean to you, and everything. I could care less what they feel.
But then you usually can't get the animal from them.
I know. That's why there's good thing that people like you in the world rescuing these animals opposed to me. You know what I mean?
Lots of patience.
I would have the jails full. All right, so I want to talk about your sanctuary a little bit. Now, okay. People can visit your sanctuary, right?
Yes, we're not open to the public. We try to keep it really quiet for the animals, but we do. And it's where we introduce you to every animal and tell you their story, and that helps us to raise, you know, the funds for the food and things like that. And most important, it helps us to educate people about these animals and what's happening in our country and how they can help, and especially like how they can help with our federal bill and to get this chaos to stop, because it needs to stop in our country.
Right now, do you have feeding tours?
We do, and they're Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock, and we also have a bed and breakfast where you can come and stay the night. And it's really cute. It's 2 bedrooms, and it's very nice, pretty luxurious. It has 3 flat screens and surround sound, and it's got a wine bar and an outdoor kitchen and gourmet coffee and a refrigerator. It's very nice. And that's a way that you can come and stay here and stay with the animals.
Do you have camping as well? Like, can you?
We do 2 campouts a year, and the next one is in October. We call it the Spooky Campover. And then you could just pitch a tent anywhere on the grass. And we usually get about 50 to 100 tents for that, so it's a lot of fun.
Isn't that a funny term, pitch a tent?
I know.
You can do it anywhere over there. That's so funny. Well, okay. Well, how much? Is there? Can you tell us how much the rates are? Kind of Sure, it's a $30 donation. We call it a member for the day. And then when you come out as a member for a day, you can up your membership. And the memberships are, of course, a donation, and they start at $50 a year. So if you do become a member, then you can come out on those visit dates all you want for that year. And then when we have our special events and things like that, a lot of times we'll have members-only days or events. Or like in September, we have a concert, so members will get a discount. We're having a Beatles and Elvis concert fundraiser, and we have like a business mixer coming up. We have weddings out here. A lot of people it's very beautiful. So a lot of people have gotten married out here. Matter of fact, we're in Glamour magazine for our weddings this month. And we do like anniversary parties and corporate parties on the other, parts of the property. We have a lot of raw land. And we've even done a Ford event out here where we built Ford an off-road track. So we do all kinds of things. We'll do anything that raises, discreetly. And
raises money for the animals.
Yeah, animals are like exotic animals, folks, are like so expensive to take care of. That's why you don't want to own one, because you can't afford one.
It costs us about $8,000 to $10,000 per year per exotic, and that just covers basic food, basic vet care, like your Advantage for fleas and your basic vaccinations. So our operating cost here with 55 animals is like $30,000 a month. We have to raise that every month just to support the work that we do.
Okay, now how do you raise money?
Things like this. We do Facebook, our website. We do direct mail. We do events. Like we have one big fundraiser a year. We call it Wild in the Country. It's our annual gala. By our visits, our memberships, grants. We don't get a whole lot of grants, but we do write for grants. Any way that we can. The weddings, the bed and breakfast. The bed and breakfast last year, I think it made us about $24,000 for the animals. So that was nice. It just even our $25 people that just mail in $25 or they just mail in their monthly donation, it all adds up. You'd be amazed. Every little bit counts. Every donation counts.
And they could donate at your website, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is lionstigersandbears.org.
Yeah, how do you even get that website? That's a good one.
I don't know. We named it after we named it Lions, Tigers, and Bears after my father-in-law. Oh. That's where we came up with the name, because when we'd go hiking, I always go, watch out for those lions, tigers, and bears.
That's what everybody says. That's like a joke and all that. Like that's a really good name to get anything.
Right. And you have to be careful, because there is another lions, tigers, and bears in Florida, and it is not us. It is definitely not us. We are an accredited sanctuary. We're a BBB sanctuary. We have very high standards here.
Yeah. Well, first, that's what I want to touch on too. Has Carol Baskin been at your sanctuary?
I've been to Big Cat Rescue, and Howard, her husband, has been here, and then Chris, who does her videos, he's been out here. They actually helped do the video that's on my homepage, the one with the bear that's splashing in the pool. That's Sugar Bear, the one that lived in the corn crib. So you can see how happy he is now. It took a while, but he's very happy out there.
Well, and Howard's the same way. I'm serious. If there's even like one thing wrong with your sanctuary, they won't even endorse you. I'm serious.
No, we run a clean ship here.
Yeah, the
everything's very clean. The animals are very well cared for. This is a nice facility. Even though it's mine, I can say that it's beautiful, and the animals are very spoiled here. That's the goal once they get here.
I like seeing all that space. That's great. Now, so let's talk about all the types of animals that you have. So you have primates.
No, we don't have primates, but we have tigers, lions, a leopard, mountain lion, bobcat, serval, bears. We have 6 black bears. We're working on building a 6-acre bear habitat right now, so we haven't decided which type of bear. It's whichever has the most need. I've got about 6 grizzlies on my list and a whole bunch of black bears. So we also do, domestic rescues. So we have horses, potbelly pig, miniature horse, miniature donkey, goats, sheep, llama. We have a rabbit. We have turkeys, peacocks, a couple potbelly pigs. So we pretty much rescue anything and provide a lifetime home. And, the domestic animals we actually let people touch and pet that we can't do with the wild animals. So we call it animal encounters. And the goal back there is to teach people that wild animals don't make good pets. And if you wanted to responsibly own a horse or a goat or a mini horse, the kids can come and learn what it really takes to responsibly own that animal, why we spay and neuter, and humane farming.
Wow. Well, what's your favorite animal?
Oh, gosh. I love the tigers, and I really love the bears, but I love all cats. I love the leopards. I love all animals.
Me too.
But I really got into this because I really had a love for the big cats. And when I worked in Texas, I was working for a man. He hired me to take care of his bears. I knew nothing about bears, but I'd go, okay, I'll try it. And I could never figure out what the guy was doing. He would come all the time, and then he would leave, and he would take the bears with him. And so I tried to quit. And if I would quit, then he would leave for a few days and not feed the bears. So then I'd sneak over there and take care of the bears without him knowing because he was gone. So I finally decided I'm going to follow this guy and find out where he's going. So I followed him for a whole day of driving, and we ended up at some kind of safari, exotic hunting convention. And that's where I figured out he was actually taking these bears up there so people could pay to wrestle with them. And then, so I just kept hanging around, so of course I could learn more about bears and figure out exactly what he was doing. And what he would do is once they would hurt somebody or get too big to wrestle, then he would take them and sell them to the game hunt ranches. And at that time, this was in the early 90s, like 91, 92, I called every animal organization I could find for somebody to come out and take this guy's bears away or do something. But it was perfectly legal in Texas. Everything the man was doing was perfectly legal and never could get his bears taken away. So I did finally have to walk away because you can't, be an enabler. But boy, I sure learned a lot about what happens to bears. And I don't know if you know about bear baiting, where they tie them to they even have where guys tie them to the trees and the dogs literally fight the bear, and whichever dog wins, people bet on it, kind of like cockfighting. It's just terrible. It's terrible, right? Right here in the Carolinas and Ohio, that's happening to our bears.
Oh my God! I didn't even know that abuse. Sometimes I wish I could like not know about any more abuse of animals. Like I wish I knew about all types. Or no, I've done
okay, but here's the key. If we could stop the breeding, we can stop this. I mean, we're still going to have the stuff that goes underground and the illegal people that hide it, like the cockfighting, and they're slowly but surely going to get caught. But if we can stop the legal breeding in our country, this is a solvable problem within your and my lifetime. So the breeding has to stop. The cub petting, where you can hold those little baby bears and tigers and get your picture taken, it has to stop. And if those things can stop, and these people can get fined where it hurts them financially, just like drugs, where they get their house seized or their property seized, they're going to stop. But right now, nothing hurts them in their pocketbook. They just get a slap on the hand, and they go right back to breeding more animals, right back to doing the photo ops, right back to selling them to the game hunt ranches. And do you know they'll only get like $125 to sell a bear to a game hunt ranch to be shot for a trophy? It's disgusting.
Wow. All right, folks, we're going to take a break, and we come back. I have a few more questions for Bobbi. We'll be right back in just a minute. And welcome back to Cat Chat. My name is David Lee Stanton, and on the phone we have Bobbi. Bobbi, what's your last name? Oh, Bobbi Brinks. Sorry.
Brink, yep.
So we have Bobbi Brinks, who is the owner of Lions, Tigers, and Bears. That's in California. And we're talking to her today about her sanctuary. And right before the break, we're talking about, the abuses that go on and some of the rescues that she's been on. But I wanted to ask you, Bobbi, how are you staffed down there? Is it volunteers? Do you hire people?
Well, me and my husband, we actually have a very nice business. We do custom paint and vinyl graphics. We paint a lot of helicopters and race cars. So Lions, Tigers, and Bears is actually our volunteer work. We don't take a salary. And we have about 60 volunteers here. And so our main staff, we're run entirely by volunteers. And then we have 5 staff members that work out here. And four of us. So
if I was in your town and I got an apartment there and I was looking for a place to volunteer, how do I, and I want to volunteer at your place, how do I do that?
You just go on our website under How to Help, and there's a volunteer page, and at the bottom there's a volunteer application, and you just fill it out and mail it in. And most of that's for our insurance. And then we get you out here and figure out what it is you want to help with, and we put you to work.
Wow. Now, you're on Facebook, right?
Yes, we're on Facebook, Lions, Tigers, and Bears, and you can get to that from the homepage of our website.
And do you post a lot?
We try to post every day. I get a little behind. I have a girl that helps me with that. I'm not as savvy as Carol. She's really good with the social media. She's incredible. I've learned a lot from actually just watching her.
That's why she gets, cause they have a video initiative as well that gets, like, she has a YouTube thing that gets, I don't know, they're up to like 100 million or something like that.
I know.
I think it's incredible. Like 60 million or something like that. I mean, they get, they do a lot of traffic. We only do like 5 million a month. I'm curious what they do a month.
That's okay. We're slowly but surely getting people to know, that the animals need our help, and that's how we're going to get this federal bill passed.
Right. Do you make Do you make videos or anything?
You know, we really badly need someone to help us to do that. I work with the animals every day, and I try to fundraise, and I'm not a good video person, so we're trying to find somebody to help. We're trying to find two things right now. We have a development position open. We are ready to hire a fundraiser and a grant writer, and we're trying to find someone to help us with the video and social media.
Oh, I wish I lived down there.
We're hoping to get the video and social media as a volunteer position, but the development position, of course, is going to be a staff position.
Oh, if I lived down there, I would help you with your video initiative. But I live up here. Wow. Well, okay, let me see if I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. I know what I wanted to ask you. Do you have a house pet?
Yes, I actually I have a dog. He's older now. He's 14, and he's actually raised some of the baby animals here. He's an incredible dog. And I have a cat that lives in the house. His name is Max. He's a rescue cat that I took back from a breeder. The breeder called me, and the cat was biting everybody, and they thought that to the point where they thought they were going to have to put it down. So I said, "Oh, no, I can fix that. I'll take it." And he doesn't bite anybody anymore. He's the sweetest cat.
What's your email address?
It's Bobbi, B-O-B-B-I, at lionstigersandbears.org. So everything is plural, and is spelled out.
Wow. Well, it's been very pleasurable talking with you today.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't even thank you enough, and I can't thank Carol enough either. Thank you.
I love Carol. I miss her already. She actually is like, you know how you have like favorite people in your life? She's like one of my favorite people.
Yep.
Just something about her.
Yep. She's done a lot of good work for the animals.
What's that?
She's done a ton of good work for the animals.
I know. But there's something special about her. Like, I don't know. Like she ain't human or something. I'm serious. That's like an angel, I swear to God. And you've met Howard. Howard is equally as wonderful. And for folks that don't know, Carol and Howard, they're the Baskins. They own Big Cat Rescue in Tampa, Florida. And they're out right now. Carol, as you all know, is normally my co-host. Actually, I'm her co-host. They're out. What are they out doing today?
They're out working on our federal bill, which is 1998, and it just went to the Senate, and I believe the number is 1381. So this is the bill that I was telling you about that'll help us to stop the breeding and stop the private ownership, and it's so important. And you can get on her website. I believe it's Big Cat Ban. You might want to double check, but I think it's bigcatban.com. I know you can get to it from her website, Big Cat Rescue, and write your legislator. Or call me, and we'll figure out how to get you a letter so you can write your legislator to help us to get this legislation through. Because if we can get this through, it can help thousands, hundreds of thousands of animals. So that's where she's at. I believe she's at the Capitol, and I could be wrong, but I know she's working on the federal bill and trying to get this bill through.
Now, you say call you. So what's your phone number?
It's 619-659-8078.
Okay, well, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up here?
Nope, just lots of love for the animals, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Bobbi.
Thank you, David,
and
thank
Bobbi
you.
Brinks. And I'm sure we'll talk again and and continue the great success you're having down there. I'm very, very glad you make the world a better place, Bobbi.
Thank you. And all my volunteers and my team. And if you're ever in San Diego, come see us. Come see us.
I will. I might just go there for that.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and hang up on you, and, hang up with you or whatever, and we'll see you again.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Wasn't that a fun interview? I want to thank Bobbi Brinks for joining us on our Cat Chat show. And Carol, if you're watching, I miss you. And I look forward to seeing you next week, too. And I'm sure we'll have more guests for you in the future, too. But I want to thank you, the animal lover, for watching Cat Chat today. Continue to watch us every week. I think this show is on every Monday now at like 11 a.m. That's when you can catch a new episode. My name is David Lee Stanton. You are watching Cat Chat, or you just watched Cat Chat. And I'll see ya.